Every Sunday, I come back to the same small ceremony. The week can be loud, rushed, full of screens and deadlines, but Sunday has a different temperature. It starts quietly, the backyard still damp from the morning, a soft breeze moving through the leaves, and that familiar, empty grill waiting like a stage before the first note. In Brazil, churrasco isn't just making meat. It's the way time slows down on purpose. I can hear the house waking up behind me. A door opens. Someone asks, half yawning, "Is it happening today?" And I answer the same way every time, already smiling, "Of course." But we do it right. Because the secret isn't a magic seasoning or a fancy tool. It's patience. It's heat that behaves. It's learning to read the embers like you'd read the mood of a room. A lot of people think churrasco is about big flames, that dramatic fire licking the grates. But the best Brazilian barbecue is steadier, calmer. It's a controlled glow, a bed of coals that holds its promise for hours without getting angry. That's what I'm going to show you today, from the first spark to the last slice, how to build a fire that stays consistent, why thick cuts reward you when you don't rush them, and how a simple Sunday table turns into something that feels like a holiday. We'll go through the classics the way they're meant to be treated. Picanha with that proud fat cap, brown and crackling on the outside, juicy where it matters. Linguica sizzling and fragrant, the kind that makes people wander closer just to check. Chicken that stays tender because we respect the heat and the timing. And because no churrasco is complete without the sides, we'll bring in farofa, toasted and crispy, and vinaigrette, bright and fresh, cutting through the richness like a clean laugh in the middle of a conversation. If you've ever been curious about Brazil beyond the postcards, this is one of the truest doorways in. So tell me in the comments, what are you most curious about in Brazil? And if you want more recipes and cultural rituals like this, subscribe and come back next Sunday. Now, let's start where everything begins, the fire, quiet at first, but full of intention. By the time Sunday really starts, the house already sounds different. There's a slower rhythm to everything, the sink running, a radio low in the background, someone opening and closing the fridge like they're checking on a secret. Out back, I set the grill area like I'm setting a table for a conversation. The first lesson of a real Brazilian churrasco isn't about meat at all, it's about the fire. I stack the charcoal with intention, not like a bonfire. I want a bed, not a tower. A little space between the pieces so the air can move, so the heat can build steadily. When I strike the first spark, it's almost quiet at first, just that dry crackle. And I don't rush it. The temptation is to chase flames, because flames look exciting on camera and they feel like progress. But for churrasco, the best heat is the heat you can trust. Embers that glow like a deep orange sunset, stable and patient. I lean in close, not to show off, just to read the fire. If it's too aggressive, I spread the coals out. If it's timid, I bring them together. This is the part people skip, then wonder why the outside burns before the inside even wakes up. A good churrasquero is more of a guardian than a showman. You don't fight the fire, you guide it. Inside, the meats are waiting like guests about to arrive. Picanha with that thick, creamy fat cap, nothing fancy, just coarse salt and respect. Linguica that smells like garlic and smoke even before it touches the grill. Chicken that needs attention so it stays tender, not dry and sad. Thick cuts are forgiving if you let the heat do its work slowly, but they punish impatience. As the coals settle, the backyard fills with those early Sunday voices, someone asking, "Is it ready yet?" and somebody else laughing, "It's ready when it's ready." Tell me, what part of Brazilian churrasco are you most curious about, the fire, the cuts, or the side dishes? If you're enjoying this slow Sunday ritual with me, tap like and stay here, because next I'll start laying the classics on the grill, and that first sizzle is where the real story begins. Once the first flames calm down, that's when the real churrasco begins. I'm not chasing fire, I'm building a steady bed of embers. I spread the coals out like a warm blanket, thicker on one side, thinner on the other, so I can control intensity without panic. You can hear the difference, instead of that loud, angry crackle, it becomes a quiet, confident hiss. I hold my hand over the grill for a few seconds, feeling the heat the way my uncles taught me, no gadgets, just attention. That's the Sunday rhythm, slow, focused, and somehow relaxing. Now I bring out the classics, and I start with picanha because it's basically the signature of a Brazilian table. Thick cuts only. If it's too thin, it dries before it gets a chance to become tender. I score the fat cap lightly, just enough to help it render, and I season it the Brazilian way, coarse salt, nothing else competing with the beef. When that fat touches the heat, the aroma rises immediately, smoky, rich, almost sweet, and it pulls everyone closer without anyone admitting they're hungry. Here's the secret I learned by watching more than cooking: don't keep flipping. Let the meat sit, let the embers do their job. When the surface finally releases from the grill, it's telling you it's ready to turn. I move the picanha to the gentler side to finish, because patience beats flames every time. This is where you get that juicy center and a golden, crisp edge of fat that melts instead of burning. While it rests, I add linguica, and it's like the conversation suddenly gets louder. The sausage sputters softly, the casing tightens, and the smell is pure nostalgia: garlic, smoke, weekend. Chicken goes on next, but not as an afterthought. I keep it where the heat is steady, turning it slowly until it's deeply browned outside and still tender inside. If this is sounding good so far, leave a like, just so I know you're here with me by the fire. And tell me, what part of Brazilian churrasco are you most curious about: fire control, the cuts, or the side dishes? If you want more Sundays like this, subscribe, because next we're building the table, farofa, vinaigrette, and that moment when everything comes together. Once the coals settle into that calm, orange heartbeat, everything changes. The grill stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like Sunday. I spread the embers into a long, even bed, then pull a small reserve pile to one side. That little pile is my insurance policy: if the heat drops, I feed the main line one shovel at a time instead of panicking and throwing in more wood. The goal is steady confidence, not drama. You can hear it, too, the soft sizzle that says the heat is right, not the loud crackle of flames licking the meat. Picanha comes out like a promise. Thick cut, fat cap intact, and I don't rush it. I lay it down and just let it be for a few minutes, like it needs time to remember what it's supposed to become. When I finally turn it, the surface has the deep, bronzed crust, and the fat is beginning to render, glossy and fragrant. I tell you what my uncle always said: fire is patient. Be patient back. Salt only, coarse, generous, and nothing else to get between you and the flavor. Next to it, the linguica starts to curl and pop, sending that smoky garlic aroma into the air. This is the moment people drift closer without realizing it, plates in hand, pretending they're just checking the fire. And the chicken, done right, not dry, not rushed. I keep it where the heat is gentler, turning it often, letting it cook through slowly so it stays tender. The grill becomes a conversation: the sound of fat hitting coals, the quick flare that I comb by sliding the meat away, the rhythm of turning, waiting, turning again. If you're enjoying this kind of slow, practical cooking, tap like, quietly, no pressure. And tell me, what part of Brazilian food are you most curious about? The cuts, the sides, the tradition? Because now the meat is earning its rest. I move everything off the hottest spot, let it relax, and while the churrasco breathes for a minute, I start building the table, the farofa, the vinaigrette, the part that turns grilling into a feast, and that's where the real Brazilian Sunday shows up. By now the grill isn't roaring, it's breathing. That's what you want. A steady bed of embers, glowing like orange velvet under the grate, with just enough heat to keep the rhythm. I rake the coals into two zones, one side a little stronger, the other calmer. Not dramatic. Just control. Because churrasco isn't about chasing flames, it's about letting time do the work. I start with the picanha, thick and proud, fat cap facing down first so it can slowly render. You hear that soft sizzle, not a frantic crackle. That's the fat melting into the metal, perfuming the air with something that instantly feels like Sunday. I resist the urge to move it too soon. Patience is the hidden seasoning. When I finally flip it, the surface is bronzed and tight, and the fat has turned translucent at the edges, like it's giving up its secrets. Next comes the linguica. It's friendly, it's forgiving, and it brings everyone closer because the smell travels fast. I keep it on the gentler side, rolling it slowly so it colors evenly without bursting. Someone always asks, is it ready? And I always answer, almost. Let it get happy. That little pause, waiting together, might be the most Brazilian part of the whole thing. Chicken goes on after, because it asks for care. I keep it away from the hottest spot, turning it more often, watching for that moment the skin tightens and the juices run clear. No rush, no drying it out. Just steady heat and attention, like a conversation you don't want to end too soon. While the meat rests, the table wakes up. Farofa hits the pan with butter and a touch of garlic, turning golden and crisp, the kind of crunch that makes people sneak a spoonful before it even arrives. Vinaigrette comes together bright and sharp, tomato, onion, vinegar, cutting through the richness like sunlight through a window. It's balance without preaching, pleasure without excess. If this is your kind of Sunday, give the video a quick like. And tell me, what part of Brazil are you most curious about? Food, places, traditions? Stay with me, because the best moment is right ahead, slicing the picanha, letting the first pieces hit the plate, and watching everyone lean in. By the time the last slices come off the board, the grill has calmed down to a quiet glow. The louder part of the afternoon is already behind us, the first crackle of charcoal, the early impatience, the temptation to chase flames. What's left is the real point of a Brazilian Sunday churrasco, and it isn't the meat by itself. It's the way the whole house seems to breathe slower when there's food on the table and time to actually sit. I look at the grate one more time, watching those steady embers that did all the heavy lifting. That's the secret I always come back to: don't fight the fire, guide it. Thick cuts like picanha don't want panic, they want respect. They want heat you can trust, the kind that renders the fat cap gently until it turns golden and perfumed, the kind that keeps the inside juicy instead of rushing it into dryness. Linguica, with that smoky snap, teaches you timing. Chicken, when you stop treating it like an afterthought, rewards you with tenderness and that clean, savory bite. And then there's the table. Farofa catching the last drops of juice, turning them into crunch and comfort. Vinaigrette brightening everything, cutting through richness like a fresh breeze. In Brazil, that contrast is part of the pleasure: hearty and light, smoky and sharp, slow-cooked patience and quick, vibrant freshness all in the same bite. Someone reaches for one more piece, just a small one, and laughs, so pra fescher. Just to close it out. That's balance, too. Protein-rich, yes, but also shared. You don't eat a churrasco alone the same way you don't celebrate alone. You serve, you talk, you pass the plate, you listen. The food becomes a reason to be present. If this video helped you see churrasco with new eyes, leave a like so I know to bring more Brazilian rituals to the channel. And tell me in the comments, what are you most curious about in Brazil? If you want to keep traveling through Brazilian culture one Sunday at a time, subscribe, because next, I want to show you how we turn simple ingredients into something that tastes like home.